I never thought dying would feel like waking up in someone else's skin. Literally. 1 minute. I'm Eliana Voss, a mid-level researcher at Hale Dynamics, spilling coffee on my lab coat while chasing a breakthrough that could rewrite human consciousness. The next, I'm gasping for air in a penthouse bed, staring at a reflection that's all sharp jawline and silver-streaked hair. My hands, his hands, trembling as they trace a face that's not mine. And the worst part? The bastard who stole my body is toasting to his new lease on life, with my voice, my smile, while I'm left holding the bag for his empire of lies. It started with a kiss. Not the romantic kind, the Judas variety. My fiancé, Marcus, the charming bioethicist who'd swept me off my feet at a TEDx conference in Austin, leaned in that rainy Tuesday night in our Brooklyn walk-up and whispered, "Trust me, Eli. This changes everything." He'd been distant for weeks, buried in classified consultations with Hale Dynamics, the tech behemoth where I slaved over neural mapping algorithms for peanuts. Victor Hale, the CEO, a silver fox with a predatory grin and a fortune built on DARPA contracts, had been sniffing around my research. Body transference, he called it in boardroom whispers. Immortality light. Swap consciousnesses with a healthier vessel, courtesy of quantum entanglement and a cocktail of nootropics. Ethical nightmare? Sure. But in Silicon Alley, ethics were just speed bumps on the road to disruption. That night, Marcus injected me with what he swore was a neural stabilizer for my insomnia. I blacked out mid-sentence, mid-argument about wedding dates. Woke up as Victor Hale. My body, Eliana's body, was gone, parading around in Louboutins and my favorite emerald dress, signing off on mergers with Hale's baritone charm slipping through my vocal cords. The swap wasn't perfect. Echoes lingered, like phantom itches where my real tattoos should be. But it was seamless enough to fool the world. And me? Trapped in this 6'3" shell of a man who'd just turned 60, with a liver pickled from scotch and a conscience rotted from boardroom backstabs. The first call came at dawn, buzzing from a phone that screamed old money. A Rolex-faced Rolex, engraved with VHST 1985. It was Marcus, in my voice, cool as cryogenic fluid. "Victor, darling, play along, or Eliana's memories go viral. Every dirty secret, every late-night doubt about us." Betrayal hit like a gut punch, but this was deeper. He'd sold me out for a corner office, a stake in Hale's immortality patent. The crime I'd bear? Victor's skeletons, embezzling $200 million from pension funds, fudging FDA trials that left test subjects vegetative. All pinned on Victor Hale now, while the real him danced away in my skin. I stared at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his. No, my temporary penthouse overlooking Central Park, the autumn leaves bleeding red like accusations. The city pulsed below, oblivious. New York, you indifferent bitch, swallowing scandals like street vendor hot dogs. I had to move fast. Revenge wasn't a plan, it was oxygen. But first, survival. I rifled through drawers, passcodes, black books, a Glock tucked in a Bible. Irony's a killer. Hale's empire was a hydra, subsidiaries in neural tech, private prisons, even a whisper of election meddling via deepfakes. Power like that didn't crumble easy. By noon, I was in his office on the 47th floor of Hale Tower, Midtown's glass phallus to ambition. The staff parted like Red Sea interns, eyes downcast. "Morning, Mr. Hale," murmured Lena, his assistant, a sharp-eyed Latina who'd probably seen more NDAs than therapy sessions. I grunted something Victor-esque, clipped, commanding, and sank into the leather throne. Emails flooded. SEC probes, whistleblower tips. That was me once. And there, buried in spam, an invite to the annual Hale Dynamics Holiday Gala. Reunion with the team. "Let's make memories," it chirped. My team. My old lab rats. The ones who'd toasted my promotion last Yuletide. That's when the hook twisted deeper. I logged into my, Eliana's, personal Gmail from a burner laptop. Nothing. No invite. Zilch. The realization slithered in. Victor, in my body, had ghosted them all. Eliana's taking a sabbatical, he'd emailed, vague as a politician's promise. No reunion for the imposter in the boss's skin. I was the outsider now, crashing my own party. The gala was that night. Hudson Yards Javits Center dolled up in twinkling LEDs and evergreen garlands. I arrived in Victor's chauffeured Escalade, the driver's small talk dying under my glare. Inside, the air hummed with jazz fusion and the clink of $300 a bottle Prosecco. Execs in tuxes and power suits schmoozed, wives dripping in borrowed baubles from Tiffany's. I scanned for familiar faces, my faces. There, Jamal from R&D, nursing a beer, his locks tied back. Sarah, the ethicist who'd warned me about Victor's God complex. They clustered near the ice sculpture, laughing at some inside joke. I approached, heart hammering in this alien ribcage. Jamal, Sarah, can't wait for the reunion, I said, forcing Victor's gravelly timbre, lifting a flute like it was a lifeline. They froze. Jamal's brow furrowed. Sarah's smile cracked like thin ice. Reunion, Mr. Hale, she replied, voice laced with that Midwestern politeness masking disdain. Whispers rippled. What's he on about? Eliana's AWOL, and now this. I pressed, desperate for a thread to my old life. You know, the lab crew. Holiday thing. Jamal chuckled, but it was hollow. Sir, with all due respect, you weren't invited. Eliana was supposed to host, but she bailed. Said something about personal growth. The room spun. Not invited. Me, the real me, erased from my own circle. Victor's shadow had poisoned it all. I backed away, champagne sloshing, the gala's cheer curdling into a cacophony of exclusion. That's when I saw her, me, across the floor. Eliana's body, my curves in a slinky red gown that screamed Victor shopping spree. Arm linked with Marcus. He looked smug, in a bespoke suit that screamed promotion. They toasted, oblivious, while I seethed in this stolen husk. Rage crystallized then, sharp as the winter wind slicing through the cracks. This wasn't just theft, it was erasure. I'd borne Victor's sins before I even knew his name. My research funded his atrocities, my ethics bent to his will. Now, swapped and stranded, I'd wield his power like a scalpel. Step 1. Infiltrate. I cornered Lena in the coat check, Victor's charm dialed to 11. Tell me about Eliana's inner circle. Off record. She hesitated, eyes flicking to the door. Mr. Hale, it's complicated. She's been different. Distant. Marcus says it's stress. Marcus, the snake. By midnight, I was back in the penthouse, poring over Hale's encrypted drives, hacked with a backdoor I'd coded myself, back when I was just Eliana, the idealistic PhD from UC Berkeley chasing Nobel dreams. Files spilled. The swap tech, codenamed Phoenix Protocol, tested on convicts in upstate black sites. Victor's ledger, $50 mill laundered through my old grant accounts, framing me as the greedy grant grubber. And the secret, the gut punch. Marcus wasn't just complicit, he architected it. Our whirlwind romance. A setup. He'd groomed me for 2 years, feeding Victor intel on my neural maps. Deep betrayal? Try soul deep. I couldn't sleep. Victor's body rebelled. Aches in joints I never had, a perpetual Scotch haze. But clarity burned. Revenge blueprint. Dismantle from within. First, sow doubt. I leaked a memo from Victor's account. Anonymous, of course, to the Times. Whispers of FDA fraud. The stock dipped 3% by dawn. Victor, in my skin, would scramble, his pretty new face on damage control. Week 2 blurred into corporate chess. Board meetings in glass-walled war rooms, where I played the tyrant with a twist, greenlighting ethical audits that exposed Victor's pet projects. Protests erupted outside Hale Tower. Immortality for the 1%, placards waved by adjunct profs and gig workers I'd once bought coffee for. Controversial? Hell yes. I authorized pink slips for the C-suite enablers, 200 souls hitting the unemployment line before Christmas. Restructuring. I called it impressors, Victor's baritone booming lies I'd scripted to sting. But the decision's not. Jamal cornered me in the elevator one gray December morn. Eliana was one of us, sir. Now you're gutting the lab. His eyes, dark, accusing, mirrored my own guilt. I wanted to confess, spill it all. It's me, you idiot. Fight for me. Instead, I growled, adapt or perish. He stormed off, and I punched the mirrored wall, knuckles splitting on cold steel. Blood, Victor's blood, dripped, a stark reminder. This body wasn't mine to break. Marcus grew sloppy. Cited at Luke Bernardine, dropping my credit on power lunches with lobbyists. I tailed him one blizzard night, bundled in Victor's Burberry greatcoat, slipping through Soho shadows like a ghost in Brooks Brothers. He met Victor's fixer, a ex-CIA ghoul named Harlan, in a dim speakeasy off Prince Street. I eavesdropped from the bar, nursing a Macallan that tasted like regret. The old man's losing it, Marcus hissed in my voice. Pushing audits, alienating the board. We swap back soon, or hail dynamics tanks. Swap back. The words ignited fury. Harlan chuckled, gravelly. Patience, pretty boy. Eliana's vessel is holding, fertile, even. Victor's eyeing permanence. Fertile. My body, my womb, reduced to a broodmare for his dynastic delusions. I slipped out, snow muffling my rage, and greenlit the next play. Seized the Phoenix Lab. Raids at 3 a.m. FBI in tow. Tips I planted. Tech seized. Prototypes smashed. Victor's screams echoed in my nightmares. My own voice cursing imposter. Christmas Eve. The city wrapped in tinsel and despair. I hosted a reunion of sorts. Summoned the old lab crew to the penthouse under Victor's auspices. Jamal arrived wary. Sarah with a flask of bourbon hidden in her clutch. They eyed the spread. Caviar, crab cakes, a tree dripping ornaments like guilty tears. What's this really about, Hale? Sarah spat, her freckles standing out against flushed cheeks. I poured scotch, hand steady now. Truth. The word hung. I dimmed lights, fired up the projector. Files I'd curated. Swap schematics, Marcus's emails, Victor's deposition drafts pinning it all on Eliana Voss, the unstable genius. Gasps rippled. Jamal's fist clenched. This implicates you, sir. I leaned in, Victor's eyes locking on theirs. Imagine waking up as your worst enemy. Every lie you told, every corner cut, now yours to own. Doubt flickered. Sarah whispered, Eli. My heart, his heart, leapt. But the door burst. Marcus and Eliana, flanked by security. Victor's face, my face, twisted in fury. Treason, he snarled in my timbre. Chaos erupted. Shouts, overturned trays, the tree toppling in a shatter of glass. I lunged, tackling my own body, fists flying in a blur of self-loathing. Give it back, I roared, Victor's voice cracking. Security hauled us apart, but not before I whispered in his ear. My ear. I know about the child. Yours and Marcus's. The heir to your fraud. His eyes, my eyes, widened. The secret unburied. In the swap's haze, Victor had impregnated my body, a twisted bid for legacy. Marcus's betrayal complete. He'd known, facilitated. The room spun with accusations, the crew filming on phones, live-streaming the meltdown. Stocks cratered 15% overnight. New Year's loomed, the city ablaze in false hope. I holed up, plotting the climax, a shareholder showdown at the Waldorf. Victor, cornered, sued for corporate sabotage, but the tide turned. Leaks multiplied my doing. Protests swelled, senators baying for hearings. Controversial call. I testified anonymously, voice modulated, spilling Phoenix horrors. Humanity traded for hubris. I intoned, the Senate chamber's oak panels absorbing the echo. But revenge is cost-mounted. Jamal quit, emailing a scarlet letter resignation. You're Hale, through and through. Sarah vanished to a think tank in D.C., radio silent. And me? Paranoia gnawed, sleep fractured by dreams of my real hands clawing at this flesh prison. One dawn, staring at Central Park skeletal oaks, I weighed the nuclear option. Expose the swap, damn the fallout. Public trial, my consciousness probed like a lab rat. Or let Victor rot in exile, my body his forever? The decision crystallized in blood. Harlan, the fixer, cornered me in a garment district warehouse, Glock kissing my temple. Victor's done playing. Swap back, or join the test subjects. Cold metal, stale air thick with rat droppings. I disarmed him. Victor's body stronger than expected, snapping his wrist with a crack that echoed my fracturing soul. Tell your boss. I hissed, pistol to his knee. Eliana sends her regards. The shot was muffled, controversial as hell, maiming a man to send a message. No kill, but the line blurred. Was I avenging, or becoming? February thawed the city, but not my resolve. Victor fled to a Cayman clinic, Eliana, at his side, Marcus the dutiful consort. I pursued, chartering a Gulfstream on Hale's dime. Petty, but satisfying. Nassau's humidity clung like guilt as I stormed the compound. A white fortress ringed in palms. Guards fell to tranks. I faced them in a sterile or swap rig humming like Judgment Day. You think you won? Victor sneered from my lips, Marcus hovering, syringe poised. This body, yours now, is poison. The crimes stick. I strapped him down, reversing the protocol, neural flood, agony's mirror. As consciousnesses tugged, memories collided. His, boardroom conquests, a daughter's overdose hushed with payoffs. Mine, childhood in Reno trailers, dreams deferred. The twist hit mid-transfer. Marcus wasn't the architect. Victor had played us both. The fiancé was a plant, but the deeper lie? I'd volunteered once, hazy from wine and ambition, signing a waiver for enhanced cognition trials. My mistake, buried in fine print, the swap seed planted by my own hand. Pull out. I yanked the plug, Victor's essence fracturing back incomplete. He spasmed in his skin, eyes glazing, vegetative, a irony's cruel cap. My body slumped, empty. Marcus bolted, but not before I cuffed him, whispering, "Tell the world, or rot." The reversal, not victim pure, but complicit. I'd borne the crime, yes, but invited the wolf. Back in Manhattan, spring bloomed defiant. Eliana Voss, whole again, but scarred, tattoos faded, womb's secret erased by emergency scrape. Hale dynamics dissolved in lawsuits. I walked free, a ghost in whistleblower heaven. Reunion? I hosted one last, on a Coney Island boardwalk, wind whipping Atlantic foam. Jamal came, tentative, Sarah with a hug that mended fractures. "You were always the fighter," she said. Laughter mixed with tears, debatable as dawn, redemption or ruin. Was it happy? Victor's empire ash, betrayers broken, triumph. But the mirror lied now. Eyes haunted, hands that pulled triggers. I stare at the skyline, wondering if the swap stole more than flesh. New York comes on, uncaring. And me? Eliana Voss, reborn in controversy's fire, free, but forever the villain in my own skin. The aftermath wasn't fireworks and parades. It was the quiet unraveling, threads of normalcy fraying like cheap stockings on a subway grate. Spring in the city meant cherry blossoms choking the air with false sweetness. Joggers in Prospect Park pretending life's a loop of endorphins and oat milk lattes. For me, it was court dates and caffeine IVs, piecing together the shards of a life Victor had glitter-bombed into oblivion. The SEC grilled me for hours in fluorescent-lit conference rooms downtown, their suits as starched as their skepticism. "Ms. Voss, you expect us to believe you were inhabiting the CEO's body." The lead investigator, a bulldog named Kowalski with a Brooklyn accent thick as bagel schmear, leaned in, coffee breath weaponized. I slid over the drive, irrefutable logs, timestamps syncing my neural signature to Hale's biometrics. "Believe what you want," I said, voice steady for the first time in months. "Just bury him." They did, eventually. Victor Hale, comatose in a private wing at Mount Sinai, sustained by tubes snaking like accusations. The press feasted, tech titans fall, immortality scam or sci-fi hoax, splashed across the post, my byline. Eliana Voss, reluctant hero, buried in the agate type. Marcus? Extradited to federal holding in Virginia, facing conspiracy charges that'd stick like gum on a hot sidewalk. His last words to me, through plexiglass at Rikers, "I loved you, Eli. In my way. Love. What a scam, cheaper than a Canal Street knockoff." I walked out into the drizzle, umbrella forgotten, letting the rain wash the lie away. But freedom's a fickle mistress. Nightmares clung, Victor's memories bleeding into mine, flashes of 80s excess. Coke-fueled closings, a wife's overdose swept under Persian rugs. I'd wake sweating in my old apartment, the one Marcus had sublet in haste, walls echoing with ghosts. The fridge hummed judgment, stocked with his kale smoothies and my half-eaten takeout. I threw myself into therapy, group sessions in a Chelsea brownstone, circle of trauma survivors swapping war stories like trading cards. Body autonomy violation. The facilitator droned, a soft-spoken shrink named Dr. Reyes with tattoos peeking from her cuffs. I nodded, but inside, rage simmered, controversial as admitting I'd enjoyed the power rush. Victor's clout parting crowds like Moses with a platinum Amex. Revenge's second act crept in uninvited. A letter arrived, crisp vellum in my P.O. box, anonymous, postmarked from Andorra. "You think it's over? The Hydra has heads." Enclosed, a flash drive, footage of the Phoenix Labs' successors, underground bunkers in Nevada, Elite clients queuing for swaps like Black Friday deals at Whole Foods. Names dropped. Senators, hedge fund vipers, even a pop star trading youth for wisdom, or so the pitch went. Victor hadn't built a loan. He'd franchised the devil. My hand trembled, sealing the envelope. Return to sender? Or light the match? Controversy called. I could have gone full Snowden, dumping it to WikiLeaks from a VPN in a Queens laundromat. But no, the personal touch. I reached out to Sarah, that lifeline from the lab days. Her number, unblocked after months of silence, rang twice before her voice, warm as fresh-baked cornbread. Eli? God, I've missed you. We met at a dive in the village, neon buzzing live jazz over greasy booths. She slid a beer my way, foam spilling like unspoken apologies. I believed you in the end. That gala? Chaos, but clarifying. I spilled the drive's sins, her eyes widening over falafel fries. We expose it, she said, fierce. Together. No more lone wolves. Our pact birthed Echo Collective, Whistleblowers Anonymous, me the scarred spearhead. We leaked in drips. A congressman's aide caught in a swap sim. Ethics committee chairs fielding calls from clients mid-hearing. The media circus ramped, CNN panels debating consciousness rights, while Fox called it woke witchcraft. Protests hit D.C., rainbow coalitions of trans activists and Luddite farmers chanting, "My mind, my body." I spoke at one, megaphone hot in my grip, the mall's grass muddied under thousands of boots. They stole our souls for stock options. I thundered, voice cracking on the edge of tears. Cheers erupted, but doubt whispered, was this justice, or my ego's encore? Jamal re-entered the fray, a ghost from Reno days, my hometown haunt, where we bonded over bad poetry slams and dreams of changing the world. He texted from Oakland, heard your stirring shit. Count me in. His flight landed at LaGuardia amid a nor'easter, hugs fierce in the arrival's haze. Over dim sum in Chinatown, steam rising like confessions, he admitted, I thought you were hail, ruining lives. But Eli, you're fire. We three, me, Sarah, Jamal, formed the core, renting a WeWork in Flatiron for consulting, really a war room of white bards and Red Bulls. Decisions darkened. Hack a client's database? Dox a donor? Each vote felt like Russian roulette. The chambers spin our collective conscience. One night, post-leak hangover, Sarah and I crashed on my couch, wine loosening tongues. You ever miss it? She asked, head on my shoulder, the city lights painting her hair gold. The power. I traced the scar on my wrist, Victor's old burn from a yacht mishap. Every damn day. But it's a drug, Sarah. Addictive, amoral. She kissed my temple, soft, debatable, friendship blurring into something electric. Marcus's shadow lingered, but her touch? Healing, hazardous. We didn't cross lines, not yet. Revenge first, reckonings later. The pushback escalated. Harlan's ghost network struck. Slashed tires outside the WeWork. Anonymous tips to my landlord painting me unstable. Then the real gut punch. A subpoena for aiding corporate fraud, courtesy of Victor's lawyers, still billing from his coma bed. Kowalski called. Eliana, they're gunning. Say the word, we flip it. But flipping meant full disclosure. My complicity in the trials, that wine-hazed waiver. The mistake I'd borne, not just Victor's, but mine. A lab accident years back, a colleague's neural fry I'd covered to save grants. Secret buried, now exhumed. Crisis peaked at a fundraiser gala. Irony's encore. In the Hamptons, summer's sweat be damned. Echo's intel pegged it. Elite swap seekers toasting billions. I infiltrated solo, black dress hugging curves Victor had never earned, hair pinned like a weapon. The mansion sprawled oceanside, waves crashing judgment below. Mingling with the 1%ers, oil barons in linen, actresses with Botox smiles. I palmed a phone, syncing to their private server. Whispers buzzed. Hales girl. The Voss scandal. Eyes lingered, controversial as my presence, pariah or prophet. Marcus appeared, out on bail, suit rumpled like his morals. Eli, he breathed, cornering me by the infinity pool, stars mocking overhead. This ends bad. Come with me, witness protection, a cabin in Montana. His hand grazed mine, familiar poison. I yanked away, voice low venom. You sold my soul for a signing bonus. Now watch it burn. I triggered the dump, servers lighting up with client lists, beamed to every news desk from NPR to Breitbart. Chaos. Phones exploding, guests fleeing like rats from a sinking yacht. Security swarmed, but Sarah's diversion, a drone swarm spelling expose, bought escape. Back in the city, dawn breaking over the bridges, we huddled in a safe house in Harlem. Takeout cooling untouched. Jamal paced, dread swinging. They're coming hard now. Feds or worse. Sarah squeezed my hand, resolve steel. The twist loomed, unspoken. The drive from Andorra? A plant. Victor, from his vegetative veil, had allies pulling strings. His daughter, unseen heir, avenging daddy's fall. The Hydra's head, female and fierce. Summer sweltered into decisions that scarred. We doxed her, Victoria Hale, 28, Yale MBA running a philanthropy front in Silicon Valley. Her empire, boutique swaps for starlets, $10 mill a pop. Controversial strike. I posed as a client, wired for sound, in a Palo Alto spa that reeked of eucalyptus and entitlement. Tell me about transference. I purred, mic hidden in my choker. She bit. Details on black market vessels, traffic desperate from Eastern Europe. The recording went viral, Hale trending, her Hamptons set scattering like confetti. But the cost? Victoria retaliated, digging my dirt, the waiver, the covered accident. Front page smear. Whistleblower or wrecker? Voss's dark past. Protests turned on me. Chants shifting from solidarity to hypocrite. Dr. Reyes upped sessions. Eliana, revenge is a mirror. What do you see? I saw Victor's eyes staring back. Power's corruption absolute. Fall leaves fell like indictments. Echo fractured. Jamal bailed for a tenure track in Boston. Can't lose more, Eli. Sarah stayed. Our nights tangled in sheets and strategy. Love a controversial salve. We're in this, she murmured, fingers tracing my tattoos, reborn bold. The climax brewed. Victoria's trial, Manhattan federal court. Autumn rain lashing windows like furies. I testified, box fresh suit chafing, Kowalski nodding from the bench. The swap stole lives, mine included. Gasps rippled. Victoria glared, a mini Victor in pearls. Her cross. You signed for it, Ms. Voss. Greed's the real crime. The chamber hushed. Truth reversed. I'd invited the wolf. Yes, but she'd devoured the lamb. Verdict. Guilty, her empire seized. Victor's tubes pulled that night. Natural causes, the obit lie. Winter circled back, holiday lights mocking. Sarah and I hosted a real reunion. Tiny, in our shared loft overlooking the East River. Jamal zoomed in, face softer. Beers clinked virtual, toast to survival. But as snow blanketed the city, doubt lingered. Happy ending, or biopic bait for endless debate. I'd reclaimed my skin, but the scars? Eternal. Eliana Voss, Avenger ambiguous, free, fractured, forever changed. The new year dawned crisp, like a fresh lie waiting to be lived. 2026, and New York shrugged off 2025 scandals like a bad hangover. Brunch reservations filling, cabs honking indifference. 4 Echo Collective's remnants. It meant relocation. A nondescript walk-up in Astoria, Queens, where the L train rattled secrets through thin walls and the air smelled of souvlaki and second chances. Sarah and I cohabited now, a domesticity born of necessity and nights blurred by Merlot and murmured plans. This is us, she'd say, stirring oatmeal in our galley kitchen, her curls tied back with one of my old scrunchies. Us, debatable domestic bliss, shadowed by the Hydra's lingering hiss. Victoria's fall hadn't slain the beast, it sprouted tentacles. Tips trickled in, burner emails from exhale devs, whispering of Project Revenant, a decentralized swap net on the dark web, blockchain secured for the paranoid elite. Clients now? Not just moguls, mid-level managers chasing youth, influencers dodging burnout. The scale horrified, vessels sourced from foster systems, volunteers groomed with false promises. My complicity echoed louder. That waiver wasn't isolated. I'd greenlit early trials, burying anomalies in grant reports to chase tenure. The mistake born, not just endured. Rage reignited, tempered by caution. We pivoted smart. Podcasts over protests, Echo voices dropping episodes from a SoundCloud shadow account. My narration, raw, Reno accented, detailed the swap's ethics void. Imagine your mind in a stranger's shell, memories clashing like fault lines. Who owns the scars? Listeners surged, from Berkeley basements to Beltway bunkers. Controversy brewed. Reddit threads debated Voss the vigilante or Voss the victim. Some hailed me feminist icon. Others branded me fame whore, profiting off pain. Jamal contributed remotely, his professorial polish scripting deep dives on quantum ethics. "You're walking a wire, Eli," he'd warned during late-night calls, his office lamp casting long shadows across dog-eared tomes. "One slip, and it's you in the dock." He was right. The feds circled, Kowalski's friendly check-ins at corner delis, probing for new leads. I stonewalled, but paranoia peaked. Shadows in alleyways, clicks on my line. Sarah noticed, her therapist eye sharp. "We're not invincible," she'd say, pulling me from the laptop glow into bed, where bodies spoke what words couldn't. Love, controversial anchor, steadying, but suspect. Was it her, or the thrill of our outlaw haze? Spring unfurled tentative, tulips pushing through concrete cracks like defiant middle fingers. A lead broke, a revenant hub in a derelict warehouse in Red Hook, Brooklyn, former Hale Storage, Irony's warehouse. We scoped it low-key, Sarah on lookout with binoculars from a rust bucket trawler, me in overalls posing as a meter reader. Inside, humming servers and cryopods lined the gloom, techs in hoodies murmuring code. One face froze me. Lena, Victor's old assistant, now orchestrating swaps with a clipboard and a conscience apparently outsourced. Confrontation brewed, but restraint ruled. No cowboy raid. We tagged the site for drones, footage feeding to a hacker collective in Berlin. The drop hit like a bomb. Live stream of a mid-swap, a Wall Street bro's mind flooding into a 20-something barista's frame, screams digital distorted. Revenant revealed trended global, Interpol raiding by dawn. Lena flipped, testifying in a plea deal that cracked the net wide. Dozens arrested, pods smashed like piñatas of privilege. But victory's veneer peeled. In the melee, a pod malfunctioned, consciousness fragment trapped in limbo, broadcast begging, "Who am I?" The victim, a nobody, a Queens nurse named Carla, her family on GoFundMe for neural salvage. Guilt gnawed, we'd accelerated the chaos. Sarah and I argued in the Astoria rain, thunder masking sobs. "We save more than we break," I insisted, but her eyes, storm gray, accused. "At what cost, Eli? You're becoming him." Ends justify means. The line blurred, our first fracture. Summer sizzled with schisms. Jamal visited, trained from Boston, bearing craft IPAs and concern. Over rooftop barbecues, halal cart lamb sizzling. He mediated. Echo's mission was exposure, not execution. Pull back. But pulling back meant irrelevance, the hydra regrowing in viral memes and venture slush funds. Controversial pivot. I went public, penning an op-ed for the Times. The Body Brokers. Why I fought back, and why you should too. Byline photo. Me, unfiltered, scars bared. Backlash flooded. Trolls doxing my address. Death threats in my inbox. Sarah fortified the loft. Deadbolts, pepper spray drills, like prepping for apocalypse light. Marcus resurfaced, a specter in orange, smuggling a note via a hacktivist pen pal. "They're coming for you. Victors will. Everything to you. If you recant." The hook twisted. Inheritance, for $100 mill and trusts, bait to silence. I burned it, but temptation lingered. Pay off debts, fund a quiet life with Sarah in the Berkshires. Instead, I audited the will, uncovering the reversal. Victor hadn't hated me. He'd groomed me as successor, the swap a test of metal. My mistake? Not naivety, but destiny's draft. His daughter Victoria a decoy, the real heir me, complicit by blood? No, by choice. Fall harvested horrors. Revenant's remnants coalesced under a new figurehead. Dr. Elias Crow, exhale board, a tweed-clad Brit with Oxford drawl and Oppenheimer eyes. His manifesto, leaked to us, transference liberates, classless minds in chosen forms. Utopian poison. We traced him to a compound in the Adirondacks, retreat for Renaissance, a spa masquerading as mad science. Infiltration demanded sacrifice. Sarah posed as donor, me as financier. The drive north, foliage aflame, felt like funeral procession. The compound sprawled lakeside, log cabins veiling labs. Crow greeted us in tweed, tea service clinking civility. "Ms. Voss, your fire intrigues." Dinner discourse danced ethics, Him quoting Shelley, me countering with Frankenstein's folly. Night fell. Sarah vanished into prep, my gut churning. I cornered Crow in his study, fire crackling accusations. Where's she? He smiled, serpentine. Enhancing. Join her, true equality in ether. The raid was raw. I torched the server farm, alarms wailing like banshees, escaping with Sarah, drugged, but whole, in a stolen jeep. Tires spun gravel, Crow's shouts fading. Back in Astoria, detoxing her with Gatorade and grief, I confessed the doubt. I almost stayed. Power's siren song. She forgave, fierce kiss sealing it, but the scar lingered, trust's tinsel strength tested. Winter's grip tightened, holidays haunting. Echo dormant, we hosted small, Jamal in from Boston, toasting with eggnog spiked existential. To survivors, he said, but eyes questioned. News cycled Crow's arrest, revenant splintered. Yet the twist echoed. In his files, my name, early trial subject, swaps alpha. I'd borne the crime, birthed the beast. Debatable denouement, dismantle or don the crown. New Year's Eve, fireworks bursting over the skyline, Sarah and I on the roof, champagne bubbling hope. What's next? She asked, head on my shoulder. I gazed at the bridges, lights linking fractured lives. Us, unscripted, happy, in fragments, love reclaimed, legacy loosed. But the mirror whispered, avenger or architect? The debate, eternal, like the city's hum. 2026 bled into 2027, the calendar's indifferent flip mocking momentum's stall. Astoria's bustle buffered blows, bodega cats purring at our stoop, the inn trains rumble a metronome to mending. Echo Collective, on life support, reduced to a Substack newsletter and the occasional TEDx invite, where I'd pace stages in sensible heels, dissecting identity theft in the age of AI. Audiences nodded, rapt, Q&A turned thorny. Ms. Voss, does victimhood excuse vigilantism? I'd pause, throat tight, replying, it demands it. Applause polite, debates digital detonating post-talk. Sarah thrived in the quiet, adjunct gig at Hunter College, lecturing bioethics to wide-eyed undergrads. Our life wove domestic. Farmers market Sundays, her hand in mine amid kale displays. Movie nights with popcorn wars and whispers that healed. But intimacy revealed cracks. Nights I'd jolt awake, murmuring Victor's deals in my sleep, her arm tightening anchor. You're here, she'd soothe, but eyes betrayed fear. The swap specter, a third in our bed. Controversial concession, couples therapy with Dr. Reyes. Now our guru, unpacking transference trauma, over herbal teas that tasted like regret. Jamal anchored from afar, his Boston tenure a beacon. Spring break brought him crashing our couch, beards graying premature, stories of campus radicals reigniting his fire. Echo 2.0, he pitched over pierogies at a Polish joint, steam fogging glasses. Policy, not pyromania, lobby for Consciousness Rights Act. Vision vital, bills drafted in DC basements, coalitions of neuroscientists and civil liberties wonks. I signed on, flying coach to hearings, testifying in wood-paneled rooms where senators feigned empathy. The swaps commodify self, I urged, voice steady, scars invisible but searing. Progress crawled, subcommittee nods, but pharma lobbyists lurked, checkbooks fat. Summer simmered suspicions. A package arrived, no sender, wrapped in butcher paper, a neural scanner, hail-marked, humming dormant. Enclosed note, typed sterile, finish what we started. Or watch it finish you. Crow from his cell. Or Victoria, paroled early on technicals, her trust fund a Teflon shield. Paranoia peaked, I stashed it, but dreams downloaded. Fragmented code, swap protocols begging activation. The temptation twisted, reverse engineer for good? Map minds for therapy, not theft? Dr. Reyes warned. Power's pattern, Eliana. Break it, or be broken. Fall harvested a fork. The act stalled, torpedoed by a rider funding secure transference research, irony's rebate. Protests reignited. Me at the fore in D.C., megaphone hoarse amid chants. No more bodies for billionaires. But counter-protesters swarmed, transhumanists in silver jumpsuits, banners blaring, evolution awaits. Scuffles erupted, pepper spray stinging, my arrest a viral clip. Voss the agitator, cuffed for cause. Bail posted by anonymous donor, Jamal's hunch, Hail remnants, baiting backlash. Winter whispered warnings. Holidays hit hard. Thanksgiving with Sarah's folks in Philly, turkey dry as doubts, her dad side-eye over that tech mess. Christmas solo in Astoria, tree twinkling solitary, Jamal's care package of books, and bourbon a bomb. New Year's, Sarah and I danced in the loft, vinyl spinning Coltrane, her laughter light. But midnight's kiss soured. A call from Kowalski, voice grave. Eliana, Crow's dead, suicide, they say. But his last words? Tell Voss the circle closes. The reversal rushed in like a riptide. I dusted the scanner, interfacing in a black site rental. Astoria's underbelly, a hacker den reeking of ramen and solder. Code unspooled. Not just tech, but testimony. Victor's final log, coma confession digitized. He'd initiated the swap not for escape, but elevation. Me, his prodigy, tested in his skin to inherit untainted. Marcus? Pawn. The betrayal? Self-inflicted. My waiver, ambition's autograph, the true crime born, hubris hatching horror. The Hydra? My reflection, multi-headed doubt. Climax crested unbidden. Victoria surfaced, not foe but fractured kin. Half-sister, Victor's affair spawn, her decoy, role, a lie to shield me. Coffee in a midtown neutral ground, her eyes, his eyes, pleading. He wanted you to lead, Eliana, not destroy. Offer, co-chair a reformed, Hale Foundation, ethical neural tech for all, vets with PTSD, kids with dysphoria. Controversial crossroads. Join, taint salvation with source? Or burn it, by karma complete? Decision dawn brutal. I met Sarah and Jamal at a diner dawn, formica sticky with syrup and steaks. We build, I said, voice cracking. Ourselves. Echo reborn as non-profit, lobbying laser-focused, no leaks or torches. Victoria? Ally tentative, her funds fueling clinics, swaps for the suffering, consented, contained. The act passed summer 27, signed in a rose garden ceremony I skipped, watching on C-SPAN from the loft, Sarah's hand in mine. Ending etched ambiguous. 2028, city blooming anew, I keynote at Berkeley, full circle, Reno roots to Redwood dreams. Audience rapt, Q&A gentle, regrets? I smiled, scarred but serene. Only the unwritten. Back home, Sarah's ring on my finger, proposal over pad thai, simple, sure. Jamal best man at our courthouse wedding, vows exchanged under fluorescent hum. Happy, debatably, love linear, legacy layered. Victor's ghost? Faded, but the debate endures, redeemer or recidivist. Eliana Voss, hole in the half-light, strides forward, avenged, ambiguous, alive. In the quiet hours, skyline sentinel, I trace tattoos reborn, whispering to the woman in the mirror, we won the war. Now the peace. New York nods, uncaring, eternal. And that's the twist. Victory's not conquest, but continuation, controversial as breath.